This week's overlooked plant is gorse. We've got 118 insects that gorse supports. Now, there's a little old saying, when the gorse is in blossom, don't go kissing, which is a really terrible, that's actually, doesn't rhyme. I think something like, when the gorse flowers are missing, don't go a kissing, or something like that. Anyway, the lols behind this is that gorse is in flower nearly all year long. Well, actually, slightly misunderstood, maybe. Gorse flowers from about January through June, something like that, and that is Ulex europaeus, common gorse. We've got a couple of other native gorses in as well, which is Ulex gallii, which is the western gorse, and dwarf gorse, which is Ulex minor, and those flower from sort of July through November. So Ulex europaeus, the common gorse, will flower consistently in winter through spring, say January, June, but it will also sporadically flower throughout the year. And you'll look at gorse bushes and they'll have a few flowers on them. These are all gorse abysses behind me. Let me just show you a little one down there. And if you add to that the dwarf and western gorse, then yeah, sure, you're going to get pretty much consistent flowering all year. So if you're going to plant in your garden or elsewhere, just maybe plant both or all species. So gorse is a shrub that grows on slightly acidic, like heathland, upland heathland, lowland scrub, quite thin soils, nutrient poor soils, sandy-ish, well drained, often grow with heather on upland heaths. It has a yellow flower. It's evergreen. Now, yes, of course, we're interested in the flowers for pollinators. It supports something in the region of 20 bees, 13 bumblebees, 6 or 7 solitary bees, and the honeybee, which is amazing, especially as the queens and solitary bees can come out quite early, and there's some excellent nectar and pollen for them from this flower. But also, it's not just the pollen and nectar we're interested in. It's not just the flowers that we're interested in for the pollinators. The reason I am interested in this shrub is because of everything else it feeds, the things that feed on the fibrous tissue of this plant. So those larvae and phytophagus, we might even change the rhyme to, if it ain't prickling, don't go a nibbling. In gardens, sort of over more recent years, brilliantly, there's been lots of talk around our insects that need supporting. But this has focused quite a lot on pollinating insects, things that come and take sweet fuel from the flowers, which is effectively just sugary water, which is pretty much the same on any flower. Obviously, the mechanics of the flower are slightly different, the mechanics of the insects are slightly different, but there's a lot more variety, a lot more choice. Now, there's another whole bit of this, which is those insects that eat the plants. Some of those eat the plants, herbivorous, or something called phytophagous, for all of their lives, and others that go through the metamorphosis life cycle. So they have a larval stage, the egg, larval, pupae, adult. Let's take a butterfly or a moth, for instance. They have very specialist food needs often. Um, so they will have evolved with a plant over thousands and thousands of years, and all those chemicals with the plant trying to say, I don't want to be eaten. And the caterpillar trying to eat it has ended up with a situation where a caterpillar will have just a few plants that is managed to metabolize. That's why I'm interested in native and sort of stretching that out slightly. Wild plants, some that have been a very long time, some that have brought insects with them. So therefore they fit into the ecosystem, if you like. But native plants, having been around an awful long time since the last ice age, or a native plant is a plant that's been here since the last ice age, or that has been introduced without the help of humans. But essentially, I'm not really interested in the direct meaning of the word, except for the fact that we need to know that the plants and insects are interacting and have a place together. Now in gardens we have the pollinating the plants that are suitable for pollinators. Like I said, there's a varied, it's a really wide scope, but we have less of those plants that feed the herbivores or phytophagous insects, which often tend to be ones with weeds. Now, gorses, well, it can be a bit of a see quite prolifically, but it's not really considered a weed, I don't think, gorse. But I wanted to talk about it. It's late November now. It's I think it's the last week in November, and I wondered why we didn't celebrate gorse more. It's in flower almost all the year, and the challenge really was to see if we can get out in December or around Christmas time and actually see some gorse flowers, and perhaps even instead of cutting mistletoe and bringing it into the house, get out and just go and find a gorse bush, especially if it's in flower, and you know, flutter your eyelids at your loved one for a peck on the cheek. And so that's why gorse was on my mind, and I thought it's a really interesting shrub that we can use in the garden really effectively. Some people already use it in the garden, but I did a little bit of research on what gorse actually supports, and as well as all those pollinators that I mentioned earlier, it supports 71 larval and other phytophagous insects, including 8 butterflies and 16 moths. Some of those butterflies are like the holly blue and the silver studded blue. Holly blue was in the butterfly conservation big butterfly count down by 81% from 2023 to 2024. No, since 2010, when I start counting, so in the last 50 years, it's up by about 35%. The silver-studded blue is a vulnerable species, so that's just 2 of the 8 it supports. And then in the moss, we've got some amazing moss, such as the cream spot tiger, grass wave, grass egger, dark tussock, beautifully named, amazing named, beautiful brocade. We have 47 other insects, thrips, ants, beetles, flies that it supports, totaling 71 phytophagous insects. And then we have another 47 pollinating insects. We've got 118 insects that Gorse support. If this has inspired you at all, then to put some in your garden or land that you own, or just to have a look a little bit more closely at what native plants do and how they support nature and ecology, then that's great. And obviously, you know, please subscribe, leave comments, blah, 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 blah. You know the drill. Okay, laters.